Hello, I'm Ricky.
And I'm Joe, and this is the second season, episode 14 of the Beer and Broadband podcast. Should come out on September 30th, 2019, if I remember to upload it and all that other stuff. We have some pretty interesting and kind of silly stuff to talk about today, so we'll just get right into the beer. Ricky's going to do the beer this time, and I'm going to take the sip, because we decided to do it that way.
Yeah, so first up, we've got the Chocolate Peanut Butter Porter. It's a limited edition from Horny Goat Brewery. Let's see, it says carefully crafted, fabulously fun. Let's see if I can see on here what state this is made in. Don't see it right offhand, but it's 6.5% with 55 IBU, which I feel is a little high compared to most of the porters that we drink. But let's see. This award-winning porter gets its luscious dark color from the generous use of roasted malts. We bring just the right amount of hops to the party to balance out that malt backbone and let the stars of the show shine. You will get heavy notes of chocolate and peanut butter to question whether you're drinking a glass of delicious suds or popping a peanut butter cup in your mouth. Okay, I don't know if I like the flow of that last sentence as well.
Yeah.
But so what do you think about it?
Well, take yourself a sip and sniff it really good. So one of the things I can say is I think I agree that they say it's hard to distinguish the peanut butter cup flavor of it from like Reese's or something like that. It definitely has a nice kind of flavor to it, but it is a bit bitter. I agree with 55% IBU, so which makes it. But the hops aren't. It's not very hop forward.
Yeah,
like I can tell it has hops in it, but the flavoring, the peanut butter flavoring especially, kind of kills the hops.
Yeah, peanut butter is pretty good. It's like a very roasty peanut butter.
Yeah,
like kind of like when you get roast peanuts that still have the skin on it.
Yeah,
that just hold a lot of that smoke flavor.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's I like it. It's definitely a good one.
Yeah, that's not bad.
And I love the smell of it. Like I've had other peanut butter porters that smell very beery, and this one smells very chocolate and peanut butter. It's very nice.
Oh, let's see. This was a World Beer Championship from Tastings. I guess that the award is the Tastings Platinum 2015. Got 96 points.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I'm really not a big fan of really bitter beers, but this mellows out really well. Because I think the biggest complaint most people, I guess I should say most adults, I think kids love it, but most adults don't like peanut butter cups because of how sweet they are. They get overly sugary. So to kind of have some of that bitterness in it, almost like if you did like a natural peanut butter with like a really dark chocolate.
That's exactly what I was about to say. It's like a dark chocolate peanut butter cup. So let's take a look at the Not Your Meemaws Deep River Pumpkin Pie Porter. This is a local brewery from North Carolina. It's from Clayton, North Carolina.
Ooh, see, I like that. Clayton was right down the road from me.
And it says, our pumpkin pie porter won't stick to your ribs like Grandma's cooking, but it sure packs a fistful of flavor. We pack over 7 pounds of pumpkin per barrel into this beer along with our perfect blend of pumpkin pie spices. We know Carolina always said, don't spoil your supper. We know Grandma, I thought it said Carolina. I don't know why that. We know Grandma said, don't spoil your supper with too many drinky poos. But we say indulge because Grandma is in the kitchen drinking dandelion wine anyways. And let's see, it is 5.9% ABV. And yeah, the can's got like a very fall festive kind of feel to it also. So what do you think?
I've had to taste it several times because I want to make sure it's not just me coming off of the other one. But I don't get a whole lot of flavor from this one. It's got like kind of some of those portery notes. It's got like almost a little bit of a sour note to it as well. But it's just kind of very muted. You know, on the aftertaste, I can get some of the pumpkin, I can get some of the spice, but it's not as forward as like the chocolate peanut butter porter was. You don't get like a blast of it. You kind of get, it's more like on your tongue and kind of like on your breath afterwards.
Well, so pumpkin's got like pumpkin by itself, not with any spices added to it. So I know that they're selling this to be more like a pumpkin pie, which it's definitely not.
Yeah.
But pumpkin by itself, which I can taste, is the kind of watery, melony flavor that's in there.
Yeah, we talked about that last time. So, I get some of that, but yeah, this is not, Meemaw's pumpkin pie. Having had a Meemaw that made pumpkin pie is... it's not awful. I guess it's now difficult that we're throwing this beer up against one that evidently won championships.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit more mild. I think even compared to the pumpkin ones we had last week, it just doesn't really stand up.
It doesn't. It's a less complex beer, I feel like. And I would say this: it's not a bad beer. I would drink it if given the opportunity to drink a beer, and I had to choose between this and another beer that was a more mainstream kind of beer.
I'd take it over a Budweiser or something.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like a Miller Lite or a Budweiser or something like that. This has better flavor than that. And like the aftertaste to it, now that I'm letting it sit on my tongue for a little bit, it definitely has a very pumpkin pie kind of aftertaste. Yeah. But it's just not, it's not quite what we had last week with some of the other pumpkin pie beers, which is a shame. But it's still, those weren't the best pumpkin pie beers either.
Yeah, they weren't. Yeah. I don't remember exactly where we landed on both of them, but I remember not being blown away by either one of them.
Well, there was one that we really felt like was good. And
that was one of the pumpkin ones?
Yeah, I think that was the Nitro Stout, I think. I don't remember. Go back and listen to last week's episode.
Or the week before's. Yeah. We record these in batches. So
yeah.
Our idea of time is skewed.
Well, I can tell you real quick because I have the list right here. So that was September 16th episode. The Pumpkin Beast and the Pumpkin Imperial Ale. And I think that the Aviator Pumpkin Beast was the more pumpkin-y of the two, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, you can go back and listen to that. Well, you want to get right into talking about some of the silliness that's going on in the tech world right now? So, I know you have an Echo Show, and I have an Echo Dot. I don't use my Echo Dot. I don't know if you use your Echo Show.
It sits in the kitchen for, like, grandma and, stuff like that. Want to check the weather and those sort of things.
How would you feel if it could talk to you in Samuel L. Jackson's voice?
I think if my wife found out about it, she would have already switched.
Okay.
I'll admit, I didn't use it too much myself, but that does sound awesome. It would be kind of fun. And when I go back home, I'm going to tell her about it. And she's going to immediately Google it. And she's going to turn it into Samuel L. Jackson.
Well, but that brings up the thing of, as we have more celebrities that maybe lend their voice to these things, you could have like Scarlett Johansson or something like that.
Well, I don't know the actor's name because I'm terrible with names, but she would get BoJack Horseman to be her Amazon show anyway.
Just the guy from BoJack Horseman.
Yeah.
That'd be great. I don't really have much else to say about that. It's kind of an interesting, hilarious thing, but we've had technology for a while that does things like this. But
it's just recording over the audio prompt, and it probably doesn't have everything.
Well, I would imagine that it probably has most of the things, because they're going to do it the same way that they did the voice for whatever it is that they're doing, because they don't do those just like because the way we used to do it was like you had a canned response that was recorded.
Yeah, well, now they probably do something like record the 10,000 common words or something like that. They record
a certain set of words, but they also do like a volumization, and they can take there's some technology out there now where they can actually feed words to a computer program that has a person's voice pattern put into it, and it will give a good approximation of the voice.
Yeah, you've got things like that. I guess I don't know. I know they had some things that were like that a couple of years ago that were pretty good if you got enough words, but weren't that great. I don't know where they'll sit with it, if they want to go that direction with some of these like really famous voices, because people would be able to tell. I think that's where that hits.
Well, so with deepfake technology, I think we've talked about that before. There have been people that have been working on being able to make people actually sound like they do. And so there's been some advancements there.
There has been. But we saw some of that in various movies recently for when like people have passed away, and you can still tell. I mean, it's close. I mean, I think it's a decision on Amazon's part if they want to record. Again, I mean, most people do like 1,000 or 10,000 most common words, and then like just go with there. If you ask for something crazy, like tell me about the I don't know Guatemalan pink gecko or something like that. If that phrase will alert back to a default Alexa, or if they'll try and like make that happen.
We apologize for triggering your Echo.
Amazon, shut off.
But yeah, so the default voice. I think that the idea of this is that it does all the things that the default voice would do.
Then yeah, they have to do something then to get the other more obscure things through there.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting thing. I might change mine to it and turn it back on and like play with it. But having the little spy puck in my house for all the different services. I might as well just have one spying on me, not all of them. They're already collecting my data anyways, but I don't really use the only thing I use the virtual assistant for is turning on lights and looking up recipes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's mostly what we use ours for. We do like the weather will ask for. Sometimes a recipe for something. It's good for setting timers and reminders because it's close to where my mother's room is. Like we set up a reminder for her to take her medicine, so it goes off like when it should and things like that. But yeah, I don't think I could have it in like my bedroom or in my work office where it's like always there.
Yeah, I have one in here, but again, it's just for being able to
control the lights and
control lights and things like that. But I don't have one. I was thinking about putting one in the guest room for them to be able to do some things with, or like have like a little speaker for music. But I don't have. I don't know, and I don't want to like breach their privacy or anything like that. So we'll see. We'll see what I end up doing with it. I feel like even though Google is not the good guy in any of that stuff, they're a little bit more responsible and less scummy when it comes to.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of eyes starting to look at things like this now. We're getting more and more kind of government involvement from various world governments looking at kind of what data is being collected, how is it being used. So, I don't know. I get a feeling that in the next couple of years there's going to be some decisions made about all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, it seems like Europe's already heading down that road.
Yeah, Europe's getting a little aggressive with it. Even here in the U.S., we have like... a couple reports come out not too long ago. There's kind of looking at how some of this stuff has been done. We've had some of these social media people brought in front of Congress to talk about how their platforms work, which I always thought was like a weird idea. You're going to get the CEO to come in and talk about the technology when realistically
they don't.
CEO has a probably a very good high level understanding of it. But of course, again, I guess the other side, it's not like Congress would understand the low level explanation.
Yeah. You have to be able to have a.
You got to match your audience, I guess.
So let's transition to something else that Google's doing. So last I think it was 2 times ago on the same episode that we reviewed the pumpkin beer. No, it was last episode. That's the one that we did. The Apple gaming service.
Oh yeah,
they're going to have like the Apple streaming service. I forgot the name of it. I think it's like Apple Stream or something like that. Well, Google Play is going to have the Google Play Pass, and it's going to be $4.99 a month, so it's $1 cheaper.
Okay.
And it is a subscription app and game service for your Android phone or tablet or TV or whatever. So, what do you think about that?
I'm kind of intrigued about how that would work. Because Apple, to some extent, at least has games that get released that are Apple compatible. And, when I think, okay, Apple's going to start doing some games, it's like, okay, well, they're going to take all these kind of PC games that have Apple ports or that people have been setting up in Wine and stuff like that. And they're basically going to run those, so that makes sense. I wonder what games are we really going to be playing on Google Play for your phone? Is this a subscription service to the games on their app store?
So they've already got some that are listed, and when you look at the list, I mean, Stardew Valley, Knights of the Old Republic, Evoland, Terraria.
But those are actually, but those are all phone apps.
They're phone apps and they're
I mean they also
apps.
have desktop games, but
yeah.
I guess that's where the cutoff is. If we're starting to say, okay, well, we're going to allow you to play kind of regular PC games on it, that'd be cool. If we're talking about just kind of the games that have been released that are already Android compatible, I'm not sure I see the point. I mean, generally.
Well, so you don't have to buy them. So like Knights of the Old Republic in and of itself is I think like $15.
Yeah.
On the store when it's not on sale. Terraria is $10. Stardew Valley I think is $10. The Game Dev Tycoon I think is $5 or $10.
Yeah, but I guess my look at this is I don't do a whole lot of phone gaming. I mean, this would be different if I did phone gaming. Most of the things I would be interested in playing on my phone are larger games, kind of like the KOTOR and Stardew Valley. But just buying them all is probably close to the same price, if not a bit cheaper, than just getting the subscription service for a year. And I own them now. I don't have to keep paying for it.
Well, so the other thing is that for any of these games that have in-app purchases where you would buy, you'd have to like repetitively buy stuff from it. You get those. You don't have any in-app purchases.
Yeah, well, I'll admit I never do in-app purchases. Period. Anyway, if your game has in-app purchases that incentivize me to buy them opposed to play your game, I probably won't play your game to begin with. But yeah, I mean, the only way I can see this being really worth it is if I would be getting a game every month or two. If we could say every 2 months a new game will be there that you would normally buy to play, and you could keep this up for several years, then it'd be worth it.
Well, that's supposed to be the idea, is that they're adding games all the time, but it's not just games, it's also apps. So apps that you'd have to purchase or apps that you have in-app purchases to unlock features, you can get through this and use them in whatever way you want to.
Yeah.
So let's say there's Termux, which is a terminal app for Android. And, if you have a Chromebook, you can use it on your Chromebook too. But basically, it has some features that are in-app purchases. I don't know that that's true, but I'm just saying it is. There is an actual app called Termux, but this is my hypothetical Termux app. So, you can buy it and you can unlock, so you can use it for unlimited SSH, but if you want to do like SCP or something with it, you have to unlock, a feature.
Yeah.
And so those features all come unlocked.
Yeah. So I would say, even with that, for my phone, never. If I had like a Chromebook and I used it seriously and most of my apps had to come from an app store, maybe. At that point, when we're talking about, okay, what about utilities I could use that are just like part of the laptop, that doesn't come with on the default OS? Yeah, maybe. Because, I mean, Chromebooks are already cheaper than like I don't want to say a full-fledged laptop because they are laptops, but you know what I mean. Like it's cheaper than things like a Windows laptop or a Mac that come with a lot of those tools already built in. So, yeah, maybe if I had a Chromebook. But I think for my phone, or even if I had like a tablet or one of those like Google-compatible TVs, I don't think I'd take that plunge. I just don't think I'd use it enough.
I got one more thing to throw out there. Right now, you can, if you're in the U.S., you can get it for $199 a month for the first 12 months.
Yeah, still no. I don't fall into those because I've been burned by those things in the past. If your regular price, if it's going to be $4.99, it's not tolerable. Why would I sign up for a year where I'll get all these things, but then if I don't, then I'll switch to your price I didn't think was fair to begin with. I lose all the things I got before. That's basically like I'm renting that game for a year because I know I'm not going to renew it when the year is up.
Yeah. So I mean So I've been sitting here kind of talking about it like, here, let me throw this
at you. It's a devil's advocate.
Yeah. I'm probably going to do the year just to see what that's like, so I can speak educatedly about it. I might change my opinion, and I'll probably try the Apple subscription service for a month or two just so I can speak some sort of education about it. Because it's not like $20 or $30 or $40 a month.
Yeah.
But this seems like a very dangerous thing to move towards. It's the same way with Microsoft Office, where instead of paying like, $300 for a lifetime license of that product, you pay, something like, $10 a month. And you just pay it, and you pay it in perpetuity as long as you want to be able to use that software. Yeah. And the moment you stop using it, and you have a limited amount of licenses and all this other stuff, and it becomes like a licensing scheme where it controls how you do the things that you want to do with your... that was my laptop.
I'm about to yell at my phone because I tried to turn it off so many times.
But you control the things that you want to do with your phone or your laptop or your programs, and they control it. They make it seem like you have freedom with it, but in reality, what you have is you're under the control of what they want you to do with it.
Yeah.
And that's the same reason I'm kind of against Apple doing this. Of course, like I said, I might change my mind, but I'm not. I probably won't. It seems like a very slippery, bad slope of going to. I mean, the same thing with the Stadia subscription service or any of these software as a service kind of platforms for consumers. Always end up being super restrictive. For businesses, sometimes it makes sense. I don't want to say it never makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be able to have those things forever. You want to be able to have some of those legal issues taken care of. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to like the consumer side of things, I don't want to subscribe to being able to have my music. I don't want to be able to subscribe to have my movies. I want to own them.
Yeah.
Or at least not so much. I want to own the actual movie, but I want to own a copy of it that I can do something with. Yeah. If I want to put it on a different service, I can. It doesn't matter if I bought it from your service. I can transfer it over to another service, or I can do something like that with it. At that point, if I buy a game, so like if I bought it on Stadia and it also went to my Steam library, and I could, it's like I bought a license to be able to use that game from any point there forward, I would be happy with that.
Yeah.
And there's certain limitations to it, like with physical copies of games, I don't expect that those will work forever and ever and ever going forward on every operating system that's out there.
Yeah.
But movies, like as long as I have a DVD player, I should be able to play. As long as I have a Windows XP machine, I should be able to play the original Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
As long as I have the Xbox 360, I should be able to play any of the Xbox 360 games. I have Fable, any of those. Those are things that it feels very restrictive when you're like, oh, well, I've got this game subscription service. Or even like, I use my PlayStation, I have PlayStation Plus, but having to have a subscription service to be able to unlock the online features of a game console is just bullcrap.
Yeah.
And we've put up with it for so long that this just feels like another move in the direction of where it's like, we want to convince people of a certain age, because this is what it's targeting. It's a malicious corporate practice that is being designed by Apple and Google and all these other companies that are going to target young people like cigarettes did and vaping has, to where we get you used to this idea of this product at a young age, and then you will go forward and accept this idea that you have to pay a fee, or you have to do this, you have to do that. And soon, you're having to pay $60 a month for cable.
Yeah.
Or you're having to pay, $60 a month for your phone subscription service that is on top of your subscription service that you already have to be able to just use it on the cell tower. So it just seems like it's just, nickel and diming people that don't have the money to spend on these things. But at the same time, if it's just $2 a month, if it was just $2 a month and it stayed like that forever, I could see it being a supplemental thing to owning your own software, because then you can try things, and if you want to buy it after that time, you can.
Yeah, that's true. If it was cheap enough to be like a continuous thing of, okay, do you want to try playing a game for a few days before you buy it? Especially if you could get things like, it probably doesn't matter as much for apps, but for games, you have like save compatibility. We're like, oh, hey, did you buy it on our, little stream service thing? Okay, well, now you've bought the real thing. The saves are still the same. It's still cloud-based saving, so that you don't lose anything. I could see that. I could see this idea of using it to try it out. But at the same time, I would then sit there. At some point, I would say, well, I'm paying $2 a month to try out 2 games a year because I don't use it over the phone. It would be different, I think, if I owned the MacBook, or owned the Chromebook. I could definitely see if it stayed at like $2 for the Chromebook, that being worth it. Because if you're using it as a serious laptop, you try out new software all the time. I mean, just with converting my D&D character to paper, I tested out a whole bunch of different little apps that built spell cards and things like that. So yeah, it'd be nice to see if I was in an environment where I'd normally have to pay like $1 each time I downloaded one of those. To say, okay, I'll try them on this little thing, and then I'll buy the one that I'm going to end up using.
Exactly. I mean, you'll do whatever it is that you feel like is the most appropriate way to handle that software when you have it in a more flexible format. Yeah. So I'm disappointed, but it seems intriguing, and I don't want to pass too much judgment.
Well, I mean, ultimately the market decides this thing. I mean, you see all these companies do this stuff at the same time because they're all making the same bet of, if this takes off, who will it be that gets the users? That's generally how that works. A new idea comes out, a whole bunch of companies try it. 2 or 3 are successful at it. One of them's generally way more successful than the others, and they're all throwing their hat in. But it would be interesting in 5 years from now to see if those things are still sitting around.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Divinity Original Sin on Switch.
Yeah.
So like I love both these games. Larian Studios, I'm super excited about them doing Baldur's Gate 3. I love their Divinity Original Sin. I like all the Divinity titles. I've had a really like them and CD Projekt Red are like the 2 game companies that right now are my favorites. Just I don't want to say like it's going to be that way forever. Blizzard was my favorite at one point in time. They got bought by Activision, and it's just been kind of downhill since then. I still play Blizzard games. Bethesda, I love their games, but they got some crappy practices now. I imagine at some point in time, CD Projekt Red and Larian Studios will run into some of those same problems. But right now, I'm really enjoying their stuff. They did something else that was really cool, I felt like. So, I own the game. I bought it on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
I got all the like perks and things like that. I generally don't pre-buy games, but I mean, this is it right here.
Yeah.
Sitting right there, the big old dwarf mug looking at us from my shelf. But the game was just so good, and the first game was so good, and I've enjoyed it since then. Well, when they came out with the definitive edition, I started my game over. I mean, I never finished the game to begin with because they came out. I play these games kind of slow. I just kind of soak them up as I enjoy them, stuff like that. Well, they did something else. They released it on Switch. And I was like, oh, okay, well, just another version for me to buy. It'll be cool to have it on portable, but I'm going to have to start a new game again.
Yeah.
Not so.
Oh, really?
It has cross-save compatibility with your Steam
nice.
Cross-save. So you can, if you have it on Steam, and you want to be able to play the game on computer, and you want to be able to play it on the Switch on the go, you can play it, do whatever you're going to do on the Switch, go sync it back up through the Wi-Fi connection or whatever, and then once it's sunk, your save will be on your Steam game, and there'll be
that's nice.
Feature
Me
parity.
and my wife have been playing that on and off, and she's busting for a Switch. She wants one so bad, and we're saving up for it. But she's got a laundry list of games to get for it, and so I guess we're gonna have to add this one to the list.
Yeah, I think this one and Breath of the Wild and Skyrim have been my favorite 3 so far. Now I have some other ones. I play Stardew Valley all the time. I love that on the Switch. There's a game called Littlewood that's going to be coming out for the Switch that I did a Kickstarter for, and some other games like that. And I like all those games, but this one, just the fact that I can take it from my computer where I want to play it because it's so beautiful on the computer and it's got so many like really cool things, and then you can do all the built-in fun stuff. And then I can take it onto my Switch. That's a big deal.
Yeah, that reminds me. I got to get back into Kingdom Come. They had some DLCs released for that. I should get those and finish playing that game. I'm not sure if you ever played it.
I did. I've got it on both PlayStation 4 and PC. But here's the thing. Like, I don't have and this is the thing that kills me.
That's true, yeah, it's not cross.
I don't have, like, a cross-save thing, and I wish that more games did that.
Yeah.
Because if there was more interoperability between console and your PC like that, that would be nice, because then I could go down and play on my big screen. I could play the console, and then when I go back to the PC, I've got the stuff.
I think we'll get there. I think we're seeing more of it now recently. I think we're going to continue to see more of it, because there's always a barrier for, I feel like, gaming companies, in that most of the time you have more than one console. Most people have more than one way to play a game. Maybe you got like an Xbox and also a PC, or you've got like an Xbox and PlayStation or something like that. But the big driver of why you really don't double buy games is because your saves don't transfer, your achievements don't transfer, and things like that. If they put that stuff in, just like you with the Switch, you're going to be much more likely now to buy the game on Switch, because it's cross-platforms here.
Yep.
So there's kind of an incentive to get that, because I think then it stops being the battle of, okay, well, who's the choice? If you've got the Xbox and the PlayStation, which one are you going to buy it on? But if there's enough compatibility here, it might be like, okay, well, maybe you bought your first copy on Xbox, and then eventually, you bought another copy for your PC. Yeah, both companies make money that way.
Yeah, and I don't mind paying a little bit more to, like, so if I paid, if it's a $50 game and I paid $62 and I got it on both platforms, I don't mind that. Because generally what I do is I get it, like if I get them on my PlayStation or something, they're on sale for like super cheap. And I normally don't buy my games except for on sale for the PC either. So, but I totally get what you're saying. Like, I do hate if I have to pay full retail for both of them.
Yeah,
because that really bothered me with the Switch. Because Nintendo makes everybody have to pay full retail. So when I got this game, I had to buy it full retail to have it on the Switch. And that, okay, I'm willing to shove a little bit more money at Larian because I want them to keep doing the good things that they're doing. But if I owned it on Steam and I paid all this money for it, it would have been nice if either I got like a discount or something like that. Just because that incentivizes me even more to buy it on the Switch.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how those models would work, because ultimately Nintendo would want their money, but we say, well, developer, you get half as much as you would normally get because you've already bought it once, or like, where does that cut on the profit of that sort of stuff goes? But I mean, I think even outside of that, I think like you and me are a little shrewd. My wife would think nothing about. I mean, we've already got like several games that we have on other consoles she wants to buy on the Switch, because I'm not sure you've seen our house since we redid the living room, but we like moved some furniture around. The TV's not in there anymore. Moved that to our bedroom, so just made more space in the living room for Delilah to play. So she's just busting for, I could have the Switch right here in bed, and I could play with the little controller if I wanted to. I could just have it in my hands when we like, I have TV on the background. She's like setting herself up for maximum relaxation. She would not think for a second of buying a game over again to have it on the Switch.
Yeah, I can see that. There's some definite We've never really talked about like the drawbacks of the Switch on this, and that's not a topic for today. But one day we will. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Maybe after you get your own.
Yeah, once we both kind of play with them for a while.
I've had mine since
That's
it first
true.
came
You've
out.
had yours for a while. We had our Wii, but then got rid of it. Breath of the Wild, though, is another one we're looking to buy again, because Alice didn't beat it, but I beat it the first time through. Yeah, it was a pretty good game. I've heard a lot of people say it's not a good Zelda game. I guess that's like up in the air of whether or not it's a good, quote unquote Zelda game, but it's a good game.
I particularly love Breath of the Wild. Yeah. The only thing that I don't love is the break mechanic for the swords and stuff, but the fact that you can get them again doesn't really make it that bad.
Yeah, it's not as bad as it could be. I'll admit, I was watching somebody play. Did you do all the temples?
I haven't completed that game yet. Okay. So I'm about halfway through.
Did you ever do the temple that was like on that island? They take all your equipment away.
The one at the very beginning?
No. It's like it's one of those shrines.
I know. Like there's one at the very beginning that does something like that.
No. Like you have to cross the ocean to get to it. It's like this long. Okay, we can give you a tip. because I watched my wife found videos like, oh, I love this video, this is so great. This guy, he's like a professional gamer, and he's like, I think he's like Alpha Rad. He's really huge in Smash Brothers. He's like a champion winner there, but he has like a regular YouTube channel, and him really struggling to do this area because he puts like a giant on there. There's like goblins, you get nothing, you have no equipment whatsoever. I realized I did it wrong. Because when I was over there and I was like, oh, we're going to take your stuff away, I said, oh, okay, reload. Went back and I just like threw all my weapons onto the island and I didn't get rid of them. So I just still had all my stuff except my armor. And I was like, oh, wow, yeah, I guess that's really hard if you do it that way. As he's like trying to kill this giant with a stick. I was like, I just had a Royal Claymore. It was super easy.
It wasn't hard at all. I figured out how to make this work.
Yeah.
So, I had two other topics, and I think I'm going to cut out the last one, which is about the Galaxy Fold being re-released, and that's just kind of blah. I don't really care about the Galaxy Fold anymore. We talked about it once. It's kind of lame.
There's the whole topic. It's still lame.
Yeah.
Move on.
But these IKEA shelves that I have here, the Calyx shelves that are really nice. I've bragged on them. I love how they work and all this other stuff. Target's selling something that's it's compatible with the system. It's almost exactly the same. I've got them sitting downstairs. I'm going to put them up. They're going to go right here. But they were what I would have paid for basically one set of shelves from IKEA and shipping to here. I got all 3 shelves that I need for this.
Yeah. Target's been doing that for a while. They've had the various like IKEA knockoffs or like the famous like build online knockoffs. I've bought a couple things that are like that. Like our current night table is like that. And it is, on one hand, incredibly cheap. Like it doesn't cost very much. Just from the feeling of the construction, you can tell that it's not like, it's one of those things where it's not wood. It's like wood on the outside, but it's probably like cardboard on the inside and stuff like that. But that end table has lasted like 4 years. My couch is 5 years old, and it's starting to give out. Yeah. Because I bought like a discount couch because I buy it from that surplus store, which it's always worth it because I paid like $800 for a full leather couch that's like a sectional.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't knock it. That's it. It's like you want to say it's like, oh, well, it's just a cheap little thing. I paid like $10 for it, but it's still around. It's not. And they got no problems with it.
So. The thing about this is I'm going to put a real wood back on it because I need to hang some stuff to the back of it. So I'm going to put a back on them, and that'll also make them a little bit more stable for standing up out here in the middle of in the middle of this room where there's not much to go there. Probably going to put them together this weekend, and then put the back on it in some sort of way that can be taken off. But now that I'm kind of at that point and looking at all this stuff and everything, unless they end up not even coming close to matching, I don't see a real reason to go to IKEA to buy shelves anymore if Target's going to sell the exact same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I've been in like real IKEAs and I've seen the IKEA store. The IKEA clones are everywhere and they're always cheaper. And
well, yeah, but I've tried IKEA clones before, and I actually so the only reason that I chose to try these is because I was able to. There were some put up together, and I was able to like touch and test and interact with them, and they seem almost as stable as these. These are stable. They're not going anywhere. I've got them downstairs for my bookshelves, for my gaming room, and I've got them up here. They're not going anywhere. But and IKEA's pretty cheap. It's not expensive. I mean, I've probably invested less than $1,000 in all the shelves that I have throughout my house, and I have quite a few. But I'm willing to pay less if it's offered for me to pay less, and I can just go down. I don't have to travel to someplace like Charlotte to get the bookshelf.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, so I mean, check them out. See if you're going to use them. I talked about the Kallax. This is kind of like a Kallax update. I still think if you have an IKEA near you, go get them. These are great, and the system they have with them is awesome because you have these drawers and things like that go with it. And those aren't quite with the Target stuff, but Target sells the cubes that you can buy, and they're cheap. And everything like that, and so I'm going to end up getting my my cubes that go inside the pull-out cubes that are the cloth cubes that go in here and everything. Get all that from Target.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, this has been the episode 14 of season 2 of the Beer and Broadband podcast. We have a Twitter. We'd love for you guys to tweet us and talk to us and stuff like that. We also have an Untapped, and if people are interested, we might start making it so that people can kind of interact with us there. I'll see what happens. It might be kind of fun to have our Untapped, all the beers that we do on Untapped. But other than that, we'll catch you next time. Thanks for listening.